The 1998 deer season for the Night and Hail team was not what our boys were looking for. The rut was not very visible, yet the breeding season came and went as usual. Some years the bucks are chasing does or can be seen leaving a signpost by rubbing their antlers, then returning to see who has invaded his territory. Making and working scrapes and leaving their scent in the scrape is another one of the more obvious signs that the rut is in full swing. Seeing bucks trailing a doe in estrus, then stopping to test the air by lip curling will certainly get the attention of sportsmen looking for rutting sign. A visible rut may be what each hunter looks for, but this only constitutes a small time period in a deer hunting season. The rest of the season is spent hunting around food sources, which is always a good producer because it is where the does spend their time. The Night and Hail team traveled to several states in search of the elusive whitetail and managed to capture hunts in 4 of the 6 states hunted. Again, this season had our team scratching their heads to come up with some tricks and tactics of their own. The better part of 3 months was spent up in the trees, capturing for your viewing pleasure the ultimate Whitetail 5. Each hunt is different, and each buck has his own character. Some bucks have tall tines, some have massive antlers, and others are wide. So sit back and enjoy the tales on video that our team is sharing about bucks that are high, wide, and heavy.
Hey guys, I wish you'd look. Somebody's done told a big lie over the years. They always said smoke followed beauty, and look where it's going.
Right on there. You don't see a lot of beauty down there.
You know what? I guess if you get right technical about it, it wouldn't make no difference which way you smoke. Well, there ain't no beauty here at all, is it?
I've seen better heads on cabbages, hadn't you?
All right, guys, we got a good smoke going now. What are we going to cook this afternoon?
Gonna have turkey breast. Walter's cooking turkey breast while
Chuck
we
is
scout.
cooking turkey breast while I scout.
Hold up, boys. I've always heard you couldn't trust a skinny cook, so it leaves old Harold in the cooking.
We're out, and the cook is in. All right, Harold, you're nominated to do the cooking. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about this year's video coming up, where we've been, why we enjoyed it. And then don't forget, this is a planning session. We got to figure out where we're going next year. So, Walter, give us your input.
Dale Carter's place in Illinois, speaking of good meals, the accommodations were great. We had some drive hunts, very exciting.
That was one of your favorite places last year.
favorite,
You know
yes.
what? It would have been mine too if I'd have got to go on there, because I love a drive hunt. I don't have to sit and stand very long.
That's
Well,
right.
you make something happen, and you know,
Exactly.
I'm going out to Nebraska because they lay heavy in them Platte River bottoms out there, and you know, a dummy like me can fool around kill a deer out there. But Jim McCarthy's got a brand new guide service, and that's one good thing about the different places that we go. It offers different ideas, and we got some great tips coming up, some ideas that people might learn from.
I thought we wasn't going to tell about McConaughey's place. I wanted to have a year or two of that being ours before you told the world about it.
Well, I wasn't supposed to tell Harold Walter about it.
No, you wouldn't.
Well,
Harold,
Harold already knew about it.
now tell us about what. Can you believe that? That was where we was headed this year, and he just announced it. Now tell us where you thought was the best last year, Harold.
Well, you know, I hunted last year in the state of Kentucky, and you know, there's lots of Boone and Crockett deer in the state of Kentucky, even though I've never killed one. I thought maybe I might have a better chance here, and I stayed home and hunted last year. And I can sleep in my own bed.
And that just about figures. You know what? He's the oldest man in the bunch, and that's an old man's tale right there. That's just, and I'm sitting on mine, by the way.
There's nothing like your home turf, though, really, for whitetail. When you learn ground, it makes a big difference. Where we're going this year?
Well, I don't know, boys. I tell you what, I can remember some pretty good deer killed in Mississippi, and I tell you one reason I like to go down there. Rut's later and it's warmer.
That's right. Go south. I do suggest that we start where it's mild temperatures and hunting mild temperatures. One year we went December, we went north and the geese were flying past us, so let's don't do that again. All right.
Well, we've got some new things coming up in this year's video that I think especially we got a couple announcements to make in it as far as after each hunt or so, we're going to bring in some tips and we're going to do it a certain way. Tell us a little bit about that, Chuck.
Well, like I said a while ago, we're going to offer some ideas of how to hunt different areas. We're going to address some scenarios that some of our fans have asked questions in seminars and things. They're going to see it coming up. I don't want to go into it. I think it's going to be some good ideas.
You know, one of the things I like about that section, guys, there's something wrong in some of those pictures that we're showing, and we're giving the audience a chance to pick it out, and every one of them is on Walter. Oh, mate, Walter,
I'm glad to oblige.
You're glad to oblige. All right, we're gonna pick out as the audience just exactly what's wrong, folks. Welcome to our 5th edition of Ultimate Whitetail Hunting. I guarantee you're going to enjoy this year's video. We had a lot of outfitters in last year's in this past video or in this video, and we got a lot more coming up next year. We're going to put a slate up telling you where you can hunt. In the meantime, we've got to get back on this planning session to decide where we're going to go hunting this year, guys. Now let's get serious about it and let's decide, because time is at hand and the turkeys are gobbling. We got other things to do. Let's get it down.
Yeah, Harold, the lemon pepper and the pans in there, get to cooking. All right.
I'll take care of the cooking, boys.
Tell you what, Harold, I've been up here. It's some kind of pretty up here in these hills.
I'll tell you what, you're going to be hunting the next 2 or 3 days in these old hills of Tennessee and Kentucky. And it's going to be a lot like this. You know, since the narrow field had narrows down at the end down there.
Yeah.
I tell you, that's some of the kind of places we got picked out to hunt.
I tell you what, it's a different kind of country, figuring out how these deer travel and funnel up around here. You know, I got no saying back where we're from, don't guide the guide. Tell me what I'm going to be dealing with.
I'll tell you what, we got 2 stands up top. We got a north wind stand and a south wind stand. Let me draw it out to you right here and show you. You're going to be at the end of this field, right down here like this.
Like this one right here.
That's right at the end of it.
Okay.
You see how it funnels down, how narrow it gets?
Right.
You know,
trees touching.
These deer are on food sources. You know, this time of year in October, it's not any rut in. And we got to hit them off some way. And we've got a little saddle right down there. It's in a maple tree. It's going to be sitting right there.
All right.
And I've got a little piece of ribbon.
About how far down?
Oh, heck, it's half a mile down there.
Okay.
So, you know, we're a pretty good piece from it yet. But all you got to do is just walk right down that field.
Okay.
And I'm not going to walk with you now.
That's fine.
Just turn me loose. That's music to Toxie Hayes' ears. Toxie invented mossy oak camouflage because he was an avid hunter looking for a way to improve his hunting. Hunting food sources during early season requires several key elements. Some fine-tuned scouting to narrow the travel routes, the proper entrance to your stand to keep from disturbing the deer in the area you plan to hunt, and it's important to take advantage of the foliage and conceal your stand. A light west wind drifts into Toxie's face as he prepares for the evening hunt. Several trails intersect at this big saddle atop a major ridge that's planted in clover, one of a whitetail's favorite foods. The old saying, wind out of the west, deer move the best, seems to be accurate because deer activity is high. Toxie's shadow branch helps blend him perfectly to his surroundings. These deer don't have a clue that he's in the world. It's that magic time of the evening when the unmistakable gait of a big deer walking catches Toxie's ears.
Man, I tell you what, that was an unbelievable hunt.
It was.
You don't expect to see animals like this in early season, but a lot of times, first time you hang your stand is a magic time.
You know, everybody talks about the rut so much, and they kind of focus their whole year around it. But I'll tell you, what, 10 or 12 years now, all I've done is bow hunt, and I have taken way more good deer in October than I have during the rut. And it always happens the first time you hunt a spot for that year. And how many times do you hear people say, you know, they saw this huge deer, they saw a real good deer, and they never lay eyes on them again? It's always at the beginning of the season.
Tell me a little something about what you like to do as far as the setup in early season, Toxie. So
Well,
a situation like this, full foliage.
Well, I tell you, you know, it's real critical, a couple things in concealment. One is, always remember where the sun's gonna be. If you can set your stand, now you can't always do this, but if you can set your stand to where you're on the opposite side of that tree, especially in the evening, you know, that would be on the east side of the tree.
Just like
you know?
yesterday.
That's right. The second thing is, because you're always in the shadow, second thing is, you know, a little trick is always place your stand the opposite side of the tree from what you think deer will be coming or which side they will be of the tree.
Good point.
Because then, as you noticed yesterday, we used the tree for cover. You could see me peeking out behind it, and actually we had to stand between two trees so I could actually look between those trees, and it's a great use of cover. Plus, a lot of times it'll let you draw as the deer's coming by on a trail with some cover. So, you know, so many people just face that stand right where they want to see deer coming from, and that's a lot of times a mistake. Another thing which I saw you do with those stands that I like a lot is if you can take some fresh foliage and weave it in your ladder, it really helps cover, because an older deer has learned to pick out those stands. And I firmly believe that once he's been through there a few times, he's been by that tree, smelled where you put the stand up, and he sees that ladder, I think it makes a difference. He'll avoid it.
Harold, you know what? There is just a little clover left in this field right here.
Some of them little damper places where it stayed damp, it seemed like it's doing better, ain't it?
You know, when you look at these little narrow fields, now they just run up through here for miles.
Hey.
You can shoot from across one of these dudes at 40 yards. I guess you can, can't you?
I don't know about 40 yards. I'd rather have him inside 40 yards, but Dave, I tell you what these narrow fields does, narrow it down to where you got to.
Well, you said you had a funnel. Where'd you find a place right here to put these stands? I can't stand it anymore. Show it to me, bud.
Right there, bud. You didn't even see it, see?
Well, that's pretty good. Now show me where your creek crossing is.
All right.
Man, these deer been coming in out here pretty heavy, Harold.
Yeah, they're crossing right here.
Good gracious, you did a good job, son. I like to know who helped you put them up there?
Boy, it was hot, the only thing I can tell you. It was hot.
All right, now we got the field here. That's narrow.
Look here at the water hole here, Dave.
Well, I didn't know I didn't even realize, that's spring fed. I did not even realize there was water left in here.
It's not even water down yonder. It's not even water up here. It's just right in this little area right here.
Man, they're wearing this bank out coming up through here.
I tell you what, some acorns right over there. I know yesterday, red oak acorns falling. They've been eating those and they're coming right down at this water and they're easing right out in this field right out
Acorn, water, and clover. Okay, bud. Can you handle it till dark?
Try them and see.
Let's get it. All right, Harold, can you shoot right there?
Yeah.
You can shoot right there.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
That's all right, you can get that thing out there. Now look, if they come out in that field, I'm gonna have to shoot over your shoulder right here.
All right, I need to get back this way to the left a little bit more.
All right, now out that other hole over there, can you see at it all right?
Yeah.
Okay, what about back here in the woods?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we back in a little window back in here. It's almost like shooting out of a blind.
Scouting is the secret to success when hunting a food source. Between hunts during the midday hours, Harold scouted this area, which had the essentials for this extremely dry early phase of the season. A narrow point that jutted out into this long field was a perfect place to conceal an old man stand and increase the odds of a close-range shot. This doe hears more deer coming, and Harold quickly picks up on her intense behavior. Keep an eye on deer when they're around. They'll always hear or see other deer before you do.
I see one, David. I think it's a buck. Yeah, it is a buck. He's walking right to this field. Man alive, look how wide a rack he's got.
Man, what a buck. Talk about coming out of nowhere. Take a deep breath, Harold. He's a good one. Pick a spot right behind the foreleg.
That was exciting.
You talking about lucky. You hit that dude right dead in the spine. Hell, y'all but missed him. Now, that deer wasn't 25 yards, 20 yards.
David, I got shot. You know the reason I got shot? My bow was hung, and you saying shoot, and you was pushing on my back with the camera. I'm not making any excuses, but I swear I got my bow hung, and I got a little rattle on that deer.
Well, you know this is early season. I mean, real early, 1st of October here, and these fields are totally burned up. We've been in a drought here in western Kentucky for
Been
9 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's just a little clover left out here in these fields, and that's what these deer were scratching around trying to find. I think we were very extremely lucky to have them come by us, but you know what? You got to be there, and who else would be out here hunting in a 100-degree temperature?
I'm gonna tell you something else too. You talking about? I'd get rattled at the end of the season, not just first season on a deer like this. I'm gonna tell you something. That's a nice deer.
Well, Harold, that's the first true, probably 24-inch spread buck that I've ever seen. There ain't no doubt he's 24 inches across here. Of course, he's probably going to score in the 140-inch category, maybe 145.
I don't care what he scored. I was tickled to death when I seen him hit the ground. Cause I'm gonna tell you something. I was shook. My bow was hung. You was pushing on my back, saying shoot.
I was doing all I could do, Harold. I can't help it. You made the best of a bad situation, but you know.
When's the best time to scout for whitetails? Let's hear what Harold Knight has to say.
I have 3 main times that I like to scout for whitetail deer. probably my favorite time is August and the first part of September. This is when all the deer are still in velvet, they're still buddies, they still run together, they tolerate each other. You're liable to see from 2 to 12 deer together. Good place to look for them is out here in your little food plots, your field openings. If you live in a big agriculture area, you might get around your soybean fields, your corn fields, your alfalfa fields, or your clover field. Take your field glasses out there and you can visually see them and size them up. This is a great time to do that. Another time I like to scout will be while I'm out there hunting in my deer stand. This is the time of year I don't like to get out and do a lot of movement. This is the time of year I like to take my field glasses, sit in that stand and see what movements they're doing from one thicket to another. This will tell you a lot of things if you'll take those glasses and just look at these deer. And my third place that I like to scout for whitetail deer and the time of year will be in the turkey season. This is the time of year that I can get out there and do all the walking I want to do without bumping the deer out of the country. I can visually see those old trails. They're more dominant that time of year. You can see them better. You can see your old scrapes. You know, every now and then you can pick up an antler, and every now and then you can pick up a mushroom. You know, these are some tips that's really helped me in the past, and I think they'll help you if you apply them.
Oh, look where deer coming down this old road bed.
Look, they got a heck of a trail right here. They cutting in right here.
Now, David said it was some alfalfa in this field.
That'll be hitting this.
Him and Harold found a bunch of sign here.
It's a pretty location, right, boy? God.
Boy, this will be a good southwest wind spot, won't it?
We'll put a stand.
So you got that cornfield, see that creek comes down? Them deer got to come around that corner and they can hit either one of these fields right
Man,
here.
this will be great.
Look over there, what's that shining across that field over there?
Let's go look at that, man. You
That's
talking
fresh,
about a rub.
ain't it?
That is some kind of fresh.
I tell you one thing, it's a bunch of deer sign out here too. That is fresh, isn't it?
God, man, that took a buck to do that.
Look how high, he hooked it way up there, hadn't he?
Good grief. It's me chest high.
Look, the trail going right
He's
around the
going
edge
right
of the
off
bluff.
of that creek.
Yonder looks like a big deer going through over there too. Let's go over and look. There's got to be some more sign down that creek. You know there's a lot of deer sign in this corn.
Boy, they have been in here, Joe.
That's wheat coming up.
Wheat. Man, that's an ideal. Look at this lick branch hanging out.
Man, look at that. That's great. Look at that.
Good grief.
That is fresh.
He had been working
Look,
in
he
that.
had that last year.
Old one.
He
He
come this
tore it
way
up there.
too and pawed it out, didn't he?
He's done that today. He's done that
That
today.
deer's working this edge. That creek lays like that. Well, Larry, we got an alfalfa field, we got a corn field and a creek bottom loaded with buck sign. I see another fresh hooking up in there. What do you think? It's getting late.
Well,
He's
it's
making
late
a bunch of
again.
racket, isn't he?
Yes,
Putting
it's late
stands
now.
up.
If we go in here and put them up now, we might spook. Let's wait for just ease in here in the morning and set up, and maybe make a ground blind. Just come in here, set up early, and we'll see what happens. And then we'll go with another game plan.
We
That
got
don't
2
work.
days. Muzzleloader season opens tomorrow, and we will be here.
That
Come on,
sounds
brother.
good. Let's go. Let's get
Man,
out of
I'm
here.
excited.
Chuck and Larry caught a glimpse of a real good buck at first light this morning. The old buck was slipping up this creek between the two fields, probably going back to bed. At mid-morning, they hung their old man Terras in a big maple that offered some cover, plus a good observation of both fields and the creek bottom. It's a cool, crisp evening, and there's plenty of game on the move. The wind is drifting perfectly down the creek toward the big agricultural fields. Big bucks won't travel far during this time of the year. He'll feed and rest in preparation for the upcoming rut. Larry knew there was a good deer here, but when his eyes focused on this monster, there was no doubt it was time to shoulder his night rifle. One limb lies between Larry and a buck of a lifetime. Be patient, Larry.
Hey, man. Was that beautiful? Was that beautiful? Damn, boy. Damn.
Is he big enough, son?
Son, is he gorgeous. He got 7 on one side, I believe. Looks like it's 7 on one. Got 2 split pals. He got a double brow point on the right side, looks like. Double brow point on the right side. Oh. Look at that. Oh, what a deer, what a deer, what a deer. Great day.
He is unreal. Well, you know, this time of year when the rut's beginning and they're still on food source, I know you've killed a lot of good deer, but you like to look for hookings and stuff like that, and you like to figure out a deer's route. How do you tell that, Larry, and you go through the woods? What do you look for?
I look for minor trails, really, not the heavy run trails. And running parallel. A lot of them time they'll run parallel those heavy trails, and that's just what he did. You see where he come out? He come right out of that thick, as thick as it could be. All the does and all coming in. They're all on that big, wide, well-used trail, but he didn't take that.
So these big boys, they he's going to have him a trail in a thick area a lot of times where he can stay downwind of those does and just ease along and observe everything, isn't he?
I believe he's been bedding up in that big canebrake over there, don't you?
You know what, and that's right out in the middle of a big agricultural field, and it ain't, what, 10 acres in it?
I don't believe 10 acres in that canebrake.
And we had no idea that deer would be there this morning. They come in behind us.
Come in behind us.
I've always heard that these kind of deer are in the least likely places, you know. And man, I tell you what, I could almost kiss you for making that kind of shot. God, I've never seen anything like that.
He's gorgeous. He got a lot of mass. Look how much mass all the way out.
Oh man.
Double brow points.
You're hunting the edge of a food plot, but what is wrong with this particular setup? Let's join Chuck Jones for his ideas.
It's very obvious what's wrong with this setup. This hunter is completely silhouetted. Any deer that comes to his position, comes down a trail, it's going to silhouette him against that sky. He looks like a big black blob up there against a tree. You need some background. For example, you can see on this tree, this is a cedar, and cedars are great, especially when you lose all your foliage. They're green, lots of cover there. This is obviously not a place that I would hunt. I just hung this stand to give you an example of how to set up. Another good tip is to hang some limbs in your stand. It gives you a little break. And one other thing is when you set up around a trail where you've got some big trees or maybe some brush out in front of you, so when that deer comes and he goes behind it, it gives you a place to get your bow drawn, you get ready and take your shot. These tips will help you if you'll give them a try.
Harold, you know that deer I missed the other day. I bet you that joker's I know it's a Boone and Crockett by now.
I can tell you what, Dave, that deer his antler's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger till you kill one. And by the way, I'm telling you, bud, you need a haircut. I'll tell you what.
You know, you've been my barber for 30 years. I hate for anybody to really know that ragged.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna give you a haircut, you bag of deer.
Surely, you're not gonna put that much more pressure on me.
I don't know, it might be a ponytail time you get one.
Well, my wife's already giving me trouble about having a haircut. I'm gonna have to hurry up if I'm gonna get a haircut, huh?
You have any idea where we're going?
I absolutely have an idea where we're going. One of the farm hands called me the other night and said these deer have been coming out at the corner of this field down here and feeding with these cows. Now, you know, deer this year, we've talked about it a bunch, they're having a tough time finding stuff to eat because we got no acre mass. We don't have any crop mass of any kind.
Well, they're eating this clover then.
They're eating this clover mixed with this fescue, and he said every afternoon they're coming out down here, and sometimes they're mixed in and out these cows right at the edge of this field. And of course, these cows have been going in and out of this woods down here. We're just gonna have to see what we can find for a place to put up a stand.
You know, David, this is the 20th day of October. We got a pre-rut going on. This is the prime time to use your scent and your deer calls.
Well, now you can bet I'm going to be using both of them, and especially this year the scent, because this is the first time I've had confidence in knowing exactly where the urine we've got comes from. I got them in those little buck poppers. I'm going to put them all the way around my stand. It's Code Blues Deer in a Bottle. We know exactly what buck it came from. I'm really excited about using it. Harold, I kind of like the looks of that old hickory tree right there. Coming right out in this pasture field. This is where he said they was feeding on clover.
That's a good place. You can hide there.
I can hide right there. Pretty good.
I wonder, Dave, if they got a Code Blue cow scent.
You know, Harold, 50,000 comedians have a job, and you're trying to crack a joke. I'll take care of the scent. All I want you to do is help me get the stands up.
So let's get them up, and that is a good place.
Let's make sure this is where we want to stick them.
3 days later, David Hale and cameraman Tony Hurt returned to this newfound hotspot.
Harold talking about a cow scent. I'm going to show him something. He thought that was cute. Cow scent. Okay. Yeah, my little buck poppers here is going to be the trick. I'm going to put them all the way around the stand. So no matter which way the wind changes, he's going to smell this urine.
Anything a whitetail hunter can do to fool a deer's nose is a plus. These new Code Blue scent poppers offer a mess-free application of pure deer scent.
All right, all you gotta do is crush it. Okay, popper, time for you to do your thing. 45 yards from the stand, all the way around.
A bow hunter must always prepare himself for the hunt. David is a firm believer in drawing his bow to loosen his muscles and making mental notes of where his shooting lanes are.
Okay, I've got a good angle from left to right for about 130 degrees. Behind me, I've got two windows to shoot through. If they get in that field, we just got to pick the spot. But out here, I can shoot most any direction. I'm clear. The key to it is hope that the deer doesn't see us up here. We're pretty much backlit, but we got some good heavy leaves off of this hickory nut tree that's gonna help us a whole lot. So maybe they won't see us, especially if we be still. We got a little wind going from the woods out to the field. That's perfect. Now these deer should be coming down this ridge right here, going out to this field to feed. Very little acre mass. We're concentrating on a food source. Clover out here mixed with some fescue. They've been using this field pretty heavy for the last 2 or 3 days. I think they'll come right down this woods here. We got a real good wind. In fact, we got the perfect wind for hunting this stand right here on the edge of the field.
The acorn crop was very slim this season, which means deer will have to travel to fields or cutover to find available food. They often have to travel longer distances to find food, so they begin to move earlier in the day. This small buck is headed directly down this ridge toward this large field. A good wind direction and perfect stand placement allows the deer to pass upwind of our archer.
Here comes a deer.
2 hours later, David catches a glimpse of what seems to be large antlers. With his heart rate increasing, he reaches for his Matthews bow. This deer is coming fast, so it's important to have your equipment organized around your stand. He drilled him. What a shot, and what a whitetail.
Made a good hit on that deer. Boy, he come right on up there just like he's supposed to. It's been about 15 minutes. Let's see, he's right on up here. Come right across through here. Good boy. He's headed out here to an old thicket. Whew, I thought he was still up. Come on. You know, I guess if you're gonna give a tip for this hunt right here, it's, first of all, it's persistence. You gotta stay where you think there's deer gonna come, because we don't have much mass this year. And I know that's an old story we've been talking about, but these deer were coming to the edge of the field. I just heard him walking in the leaves, and boom, he was right there in front of me. So what you've gotta do as a tip is you gotta be ready all the time. I mean, you have got to know how to get to your bow, have it sitting right there at hand, and then you gotta stop him. That buck was on a march. I made a little noise at him, stopped him in his tracks. He looked up, and it was too late because it doesn't put it to him. Now, I was shooting this Matthews bow, and one great thing about it is it's fast enough at that distance he could not jump that string.
It's cold weather and you're cold-natured. What can you do to stay more comfortable? Here's some advice from David Hale.
Folks, there's a couple of things that you can do that'll really help you stay warmer. If you can stay warmer, that's staying power. If you got staying power, you're going to see more deer. Now, here's the first thing I would do. I would take a heavy coat such as this one right here and never would wear it to the stand. I would put it on a backpack. I'd get me a good backpack too. One that had a scent lock liner in it, such as this Bucklet Creek. It carries all my goodies. When I impregnate my clothes with my scent master, I want it to be worn on my back just like this, and when I get there, I got it ready. I can put it on. Then when I get in the stand, that's going to keep me from sweating on the way to the stand. Instead of getting cold when I get there, I'm going to be ready to put my jacket on. I'm going to stay warm. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is I've come up and found a product called a Polar Wrap. If you can believe this, it's a face mask, serves as a face mask, but the great thing about it is it has a little compartment that is loaded up with copper coils. When you breathe into that little compartment of coils, just like this right here, breathe into it. You take a 98.6 degrees that you have in your breath. When you breathe back, you're breathing back might near the same degree temperature. Now, what does that mean? That means the air you're breathing back in is warm. It does not have to take your blood to your vitals as quick. That means that your blood is going to circulate. Your outer extremities is not going to lose blood, not going to lose warmth going to your vitals like you would if you didn't have it. You're going to be able to stay warmer longer. This is one of the greatest products that I've ever seen come down the pike for a person like me who stays cold. It's called a Polar Wrap. It's an air exchanger. It's exactly what it is. It exchanges your warm air right back for warm air. A great product. Look for the 800 number at the end of the video because you will want to see this product in your hands just like it is mine. All right, Tim, now I have heard all about this shooting a bow with your mouth. It's hard for me to believe. I want you to show it to me.
All right, it actually works.
Did.
You have got to be kidding me.
I will not get my bow out.
This bow ain't handicapped. You know, just for the viewing audience's sake, Tim, this is unbelievable. First of all, you've only got one arm.
Right.
You're not doing this for show off. You're doing this for real, aren't you?
Yeah, it actually works. And you know, for all those people out there who are watching who thinks I might not be able to do that, think again. If you got an amputation or say you've got nerve damage, you can actually do this. You want to have good teeth, but it does work.
No, whereas dentures won't work. You don't
No,
like
dentures won't work. But I've taken several deer like that.
This is unbelievable. Are you looking at a peep sight when you pull it
Looking
back?
at a peep sight. Now, the only thing I had to change is when I pull back with my left jaw teeth. I am right eye dominant, so I have to close my right eye, but it works real well.
Well, I will be doggone. It's just persistence, ain't it, Harold?
I tell you what, David, I watched him last year fish with one arm and crank with his mouth all day, and he wore me out. It was 100-degree weather, and he caught 5 nice bass. And I can tell you one thing, I wasn't even a doubt. I knew he could shoot this bow if he could do that.
I didn't get that one in, though. Man, we had a good one on.
Tim, come on. You know, I'm impressed with all of this, and just to let the viewing audience know, you are Tim Farmer, host of Kentucky Afield, the longest-running outdoor television show, about 46 years, I understand. It's been going for a long time. Host, you're the fourth
one.
And whoever said you was handicapped sure overestimated that. I can't believe that you can take that bow. Now, let me ask you something. Obviously, you've killed some deer before. Do you get the jitters like everybody else? Does it affect your hand? Does your head go to shaking like my arm does?
Now that I never really thought about it like that, but I think you probably have less jitters like that.
Yeah, because your head doesn't shake. Yeah.
And plus, when you're locked in, everything's, your head's locked in. And
I knew he had an advantage. There ain't no advantage to this whatsoever.
I can fix you right up.
Yeah, I bet you can. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and finish getting our gear ready. It's in the middle of the afternoon. We're not going to hunt in the morning.
That's right, and I'm going to take Tim over and show him exactly what he's going to be up against tomorrow.
I can't
and where
wait.
he's going to hunt.
I can't wait.
Well, let's go get that air out of that target. And go.
Tim, you've impressed me with shooting. I'm going to see if I can impress you before you're going to hunt. And we're going to start right here at this scrape. Look here. There's a scrape line that goes all the way up and down through where that funnel comes out. Look here. Come here, let me show you this. Tim, there's about 4 or 5 scrapes right up and down through there. And look at that funnel. Can you see that funnel right yonder? Yeah. You see that brush pile? And deer's coming around that brush pile. And your stand's going to be, they already up. They're right up in one of those maple trees right yonder. Right. You can't see it from here. We're not going to walk up there. So it looks like to me that this is a pretty good place.
Now, where the deer probably going to be coming from?
I'm going to tell you something. I think you could just be looking either way because deer will come from around that brush pile if he comes that way, or he could come from all the way up through here and come all the way up the edge of woods line.
Now, where you going to be hunting?
I've got me a pretty good place about 400 or 500 yards over here, and I think it's a pretty good place.
You're not gonna cut me off, are you?
Heck no, you know I wouldn't do that.
When the rut starts to kick in, it's obvious that a hunter needs to be where the does are. Since there is little or no mass crop in this area, pre-planted food plots are the ticket. Careful observation, without pressuring the deer, has allowed Harold and David to pattern deer travel across a corner of this food source. Now, here's a telltale sign that deer are on the move. Anytime you have a squirrel in a barking frenzy, keep your eyes peeled, because odds are he's fussing at a whitetail. This buck popped out at the other end of the field, but he has his mind on 3 does that are almost directly under Tim's stand. It's that time of year. When a buck spots a doe, he'll almost always make a beeline to her for a scent check to see if she's reached the estrus cycle.
He's down. He's down. That was about 5-6 seconds. He's down. Tim, what have we got here, bud?
Well, you know, we talked about the palmation and the kind of different, you know, character of his rack, but we didn't talk about points. We need to actually count how many points we got.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One on the back's 11.
And it's anything you can hang a ring on, right?
That's right. Anything
well,
you hang it.
What's that right there?
That's a knot.
Put a ring on that.
Oh, come on. We ain't calling that a 12-pointer. That's a good enough deer as it is as an 11-pointer. You old man. I'll tell you what, I'm not only impressed with that rack, because he certainly got character, I'm impressed with the character that shot that deer.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, shooting with your teeth, I have to do it this way. There's a lot of people out there who've had strokes or polio or you know, accident victims. It's a good way to shoot. And plus, it's a really effective way to shoot. If you want to do it yourself, let me know, and I'll just rig you up.
I appreciate the thought on that. I believe I'm going to let you teach Harold how to do that.
Okay.
Let me tell y'all what Dave and I are doing. we got a stand down here in this old creek bottom. It joins these two big hardwood ridges, and there is absolutely tons of buck sign. There are several trails coming through and a bunch of big scrapes. And we've been hunting early and late like every whitetail hunter does, and I think sometimes the whitetails end up patterning us up better than we pattern them. But this is a time of year you see the leaves in the background. This is peak of the pre-rut and probably the very best time to get on a whitetail. We've been hunting 3 days. We've been busted by a few does like it always happens, but I once heard that when the moon is straight overhead or straight underfoot, that's when the deer are moving. I noticed yesterday at 11 o'clock, it was straight overhead. So we ate us a good breakfast, and we're gonna get in that stand. It's about 7:30, and we are gonna spend the day in that stand. Buck has got this whole place tore up. He's got a flurry of rubs right here. It's where several deer trails intersect crossing this old creek bottom. Our wind's coming across this thing. It's perfect. There's a big scrape right there. Big scrape right there. It's cut over all on that hillside, and our stands are right here. Not going over. Let's get up and get over.
After a quick touch-up of some bare spots with Night and Hale's camo makeup kit, Chuck Jones settles into his Terra Old Man for a day of bow hunting. Around 10:30, which is prime time according to the moon phase, Chuck hears the aggressive gait of a deer walking. Bucks have a different gait than does do. Therefore, if a hunter pays close attention, he can learn to tell the difference between the sounds of bucks and does' footsteps in the woods.
There's a good buck. It's a good buck.
These two bucks are trailing a young doe, but one quick turn through some cover and the doe disappears, leaving two mature bucks alone. A perfect deer calling opportunity. The sight of a big whitetail displaying his dominance can easily unnerve any hunter. Even though it's hard to do, a bow hunter needs to get his thoughts off these big antlers and concentrate on where he wants his arrow to hit. Pick an area in his line of travel where you can stop him for the shot. Then stay focused on his chest area and breathe deep.
David, what kind of horns do you have? Man, there was stuff sticking up everywhere. That's the kind of shot I like, about 10 yards. Every once in a while I'd hit one like that.
There he is. He's down, son. Is that him? He's down. I think I see him. I believe he fell in.
Went all the way through him. It looks like I hit him just dead perfect. He's laying 60 yards in that creek right there. And you talking about a boy that was ready to get his hands on the animal. Where those deer crossing the creek. Look at the size of that buck. Good gracious alive. I'll just tell y'all one thing. That's Boone and Crockett in my book.
That was a perfect rack at one time, and he got injured some kind of way. And I don't blame you for shooting him, because I would like to have him myself. And we may have to flip for him before this is over.
Let me tell you something. If he'd have just had this, I'd have shot him still, because that is one awesome animal. Look how big this deer is.
You know, I have to say one thing. Not everybody gets to shoot a weird old deer, do they?
No, it takes a weird old.
Hey, look,
Man,
here, let's talk about this scoring system one time real quick. When you go to scoring a deer, I want folks to know that you got 4 measurements around the base.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take the nearest here. That's between your G1, which is your eye guard, and your G2, your G3, and your G4. In this particular case, you got 1 measurement diameter, 1 measurement diameter, 1 measurement diameter, 1 measurement. There's 4 diameters.
That's right.
You add those up. You got a G1, which is your eye guard. You add the length of that from where it joins the main beam.
The brow.
Same way it does here with the G2. Comes down about all right at the main base here. Measure the length of that. Same way with G3, same way with G4. And then you measure the outside, which is your longest, of your main beam. You start around here on the back of his horn, come all the way around the side, come all the way to this point, add it up, that'll give you one side. Now, if you got extra kickers like you got here, here's one here, and here's one here, and here's one here. As far as net's concerned, that takes off.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I always said, and I won't argue with anybody about the scoring system, but in my book, if he grew it, he earned it.
I'd hate somebody net me out, you know what?
We'd be in trouble.
We'd be in big trouble. But when I look at this deer right here, of course, I'll be honest about it, I don't know how to score this. We just have to add up how many inches of bone there is. Good gracious, look at all this mess right here. But you also get to add in the width.
That's right.
And that's the furthest point. So that would be from here on this particular deer, from right here on this outside point to the inside.
To the inside of that beam right there.
You got something here, Chuck.
How and when do you hunt an active scrape line during the rut? Here's Harold Knight and Chuck Jones with some insight on scrape hunting.
Harold, you know, hunting scrapes is probably one of the most talked about scenarios in deer hunting.
You know, Chuck, that's one of my favorite times to deer hunt. Of course, I want to hunt them most of the time then with a bow, but, you know, we do have some good muzzleload seasons coming in at that time, and that's an ideal time to hunt because you can visually see that sign.
What time of the day do you like to hunt around a scrape?
Well, you know, the hunt around a scrape, you have got to put in a lot of hours. You know, I always thought a deer will come to a scrape maybe every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it might be quicker and sometimes it might be longer, but you've got to spend a lot of time around it. You've got to spend a lot of daylight time. Naturally, you can't be there dark, and he comes to those scrapes a lot of times in the dark, but a lot of times he's going to come to them right in the middle of the day.
Well, you know, a buck comes to a scrape for one reason. He's looking for a doe, and he's either lost her or he hadn't got to her yet, and he's passing through there to find her.
Yeah, he's wanting that doe to come up there and urinate in that scrape and smell her and try to trail her right up.
Well, you know, one key, I think, to hunting scrapes is how you approach that area. David and I were talking about the other day, going to them. A lot of people think you need to get in your stand 2 or 3 hours before daylight. We all like to go to our stand at daylight. You don't disturb as much. You don't have to have a light shining everywhere. You don't bump all the branches, leave your scent going in. And when you get there at daylight, you're going to stay longer during the day.
You know what? I noticed you wear rubber boots a lot of times doing this too.
Always, always. All right, Harold, what about deer calling in this situation?
I think this is the best time of the year to use a deer call. This is in most of the time in the pre-rut, And I find that this is one of the better times to call deer with a deer call. And this is also a good time to rattle.
No doubt.
And but a deer call is I'm not going to leave home without that time of year, because I've got a lot of confidence in going that time of year.
Well, scents are very important. Of course, we've got now the code blue and red line. We've got all your no odor stuff to cover, and I think one thing is very important when you hunt an area like this is try to use a cover scent that matches that natural environment. If you're hunting a lot of pines and cedar, use cedar.
I agree with that. A lot of times it might be acorns.
That's right.
And another thing too, Chuck, you need to keep your body as clean as you can and your clothes as clean as you can that time of year, because you know everything that you do to help eliminate that human odor has got to help some.
Well, you got a couple new products. I know. I want you to cover those real quick: the rattle bag, the twister call, and then of course the old reliable Easy Grunter Plus.
Well, I don't have a rattle bag with me, but I have a new twister call right here. This call to me is going to be absolutely, I think, one of the best calls we've ever had, because you can make so many different sounds with it without having to take it apart. All you have to do is just twist. If you want to make that rutting buck sound like, it's what you do. If you want to make that just a regular grunt, go.
You do a bleat call too.
Bleat call, but you know a doe. A lot of times does grunt, and you can twist that to where a doe.
Man, that is
See?
awesome. Now, do you rattle much?
Oh, I absolutely do, and I love to rattle. And this is the time of year, you know, right in that pre-rut, when rattling. A lot of times I'll click. I see a deer, you know, Chuck, going down the edge of a hill or something. Maybe he's past the scrape line up, and I'll take that rattle bag or some antlers and just click them just a little bit, you know, get his attention.
Just to get him to come 40, 50 yards.
And then I use the grunt call, and next thing you know, he makes his little circle, and there he is right under you.
Boy, I can't wait till next deer season.
I tell you what, fires you up right now, don't you? Just talking about it.
Damn, huh? Very nice.
Harold, sick as you are, you gonna be able to hunt?
You better believe it. If I can keep from coughing, I'm gonna be out there.
Earl, you know, this is the pretty close to the opening of gun season for Tennessee. We're in about a week of it now.
That's right.
And we've all decided to come down here to one of the old places that all of us went together and bought one time, Cross Creeks, Tennessee. We got a little piece of the refuge right there close by.
We do, and we've had a lot of good times down that goose pit.
Yes,
a lot of good eating.
Yeah, and you know what? We sat there goose hunting and watched those good deer go by time after time again, and just about got enough of that and decided we'd all join down here this year. Geese ain't here anymore. They're not coming back to refuge like this, so we just supposed to take advantage of just deer hunting.
I believe we should, you know, and I tell you, you know, just like, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when I went up to Kentucky with you guys, killed that big 176 point.
Yeah, you got to remind us of that.
I've never killed one.
He come to our house and killed it, and I ain't even know he's even there.
Well, he was without a doubt, a state park deer, and you know those deer really they know the boundaries of the refuge, but when they start chasing the ladies, they just can't read anymore.
Absolutely. You know, my key to any kind of hunting is if you can get next to a refuge on deer hunting. I didn't say get on it. I said get next to it, where it's legal hunting. That's a sanctuary. Let those deer grow and get some age on them.
That's
and it
right.
takes age to make these better bucks. And
Well, Earl has picked a stand site where a cedar thicket corners at a big hardwood bottom that feeds into a clover and wheat field. This is what we call a travel corridor. Lots of scrapes and rubs indicate to Earl that several bucks are consistently using this route looking for does. When Earl hears a deer walking behind this doe, he immediately grunts on his rut and buck call. The purpose of these grunts is to hopefully trick a buck into believing another buck is chasing a hot doe, an excellent tactic when bucks are rutting. The buck emerges from the thicket and announces that he is the king of this area. He has responded to the call, so Earl grunts again, and the buck is convinced he has competition in his home territory. Stay calm, Earl. He's coming right in.
He's down. He is down. That is a dandy 8-pointer. Oh man, he came up, he made that scrape. That other buck came up behind him. Could y'all see that? He ran him off. I thought we'd lost him. And I blew him a grunt call. Don't ever hunt the rut without a grunt call. He came back, that doe came back around. And all I had to do was stop him, and I whistled. Stop, made a good hit on him. He didn't run 50 yards, and he's down. He is a dandy 8-pointer. Let's go see what he looks like.
The rut in Tennessee. Now folks, if you want to get a good deer, I guarantee you this deer came off the Cross Creek Wildlife Refuge, and the only time to get a good deer like this is when they leave that sanctuary and go out chasing the does doing the rut. And I guarantee you he has spent his life in the Cross Creek Wildlife Refuge. You know, this year in Tennessee, we just passed a new law in an effort to get more quality bucks like this in the state. We've cut the buck limit from 11 back to 2. And if you want to harvest an old deer like this, a mature buck, you've got to let those young bucks get old. And this is the result right here. He is really a dandy deer. I can only get one more buck this year, but at least in Tennessee. But if I don't get another one, I've sure got a dandy here. The Tennessee rut has sure been good to me.
The Nebraska Platte River Bottoms runs for hundreds of miles along Interstate 80, across some of the West's finest whitetail habitat. This fertile river country is home to one of the largest whitetail populations in the United States. Protein-rich alfalfa fields lie along the edge of the Platte, offering excellent hunting of food-source travel routes. It's mid-October, that special time of the season when Mother Nature blends beauty to harvest time, and whitetail bucks feel a hormonal change, causing them to move about searching for lady friends. Pro staffer Jim McConaughey spends most of his free time archery hunting these Platte River whitetails. Jim has hunted here for 10 years. He knows the land and the hangouts of several big whitetails. Hopefully he and Chuck will capture one of these big river bottom whitetails on video.
It's out straight out of the west. It should be. As much of it is blown in the last couple of 3 days. West and northwest. What kind of place we gonna be hunting? Jones is where I've got us located. You're gonna like it, I promise you. Of course, as you know, we're hunting before the rut, actually before the pre-rut. And you saw this morning there was a teenage buck or two that's ready for the first date, but those big boys are doing one thing. We already talked about it. They're getting ready for the rut, and that means feed. And we're hunting actually, I mean, we're going to be 300 yards on this side of the channel. Those deer are crossing this channel and going to either that cornfield and maybe going by and getting a bite outside. What's this wind going to do? I think the wind's ideal today. It's coming out of the west. Of course, you know, deer are doing something no matter what. No matter what the weather is, you got to pay attention to it. What these bucks in Nebraska do with a wind this high is they head to the cedars, and we're going to be right in. Well, I was just fixing to say, I know one thing for sure. We're in a cedar tree. We are in a cedar tree. Old man. We got to be. Let's go, buddy. I'm ready.
With safety harnesses in place and a last-minute check with a wind floater, conditions are perfect. Jim's stand site overlooks several draws that filter through this thick cedar landscape. As always in the West, the winds are high, so the cedar offers cover, plus a windbreak for whitetails. Our hunter only has a short wait before he sees his first deer. She cautiously passes right under the stand. Not only does Nebraska have a large deer population, this state carries a high percentage of big whitetail bucks. The Pope and Young records have numerous listings of Nebraska whitetails. A small frontal system moved through earlier in the day, bringing cooler weather and an increase in deer movement. Jim hangs his bow hunting stand 20 to 30 feet high in these large cedars. At these heights, there's very little chance of being busted by a cautious old doe, and a cedar offers excellent cover for the archer. There's something really special about the last hour of the hunt. You seem to be at your best because it's the final moments of the adventure, and it's that magical time of day that big bucks feel secure moving about. The sound of deer running gets Jim's attention as a couple of young bucks emerge from the thick cedars. Something pushed those youngsters into the open. Moments later, he appears coming straight at our hunter. A nerve pill and a good open shot at the right angle might be rushing through Jim's mind about now. The sight of an animal like this is what bow hunting dreams are made of.
been about 100 yards. Still on good blood. That was a super hit. I know that the deer couldn't possibly be too far. And that's right up through here. There's our buck, Jones. There's our buck. Good Lord. Jonesy, look at there. Was riding that wind out worth it? Look at that buck. We have got us a Platte River, Nebraska, Pope and Young 10-point. Oh, look at that buck. What a deer. What a deer.
Here's Jim Strelick and David Hale with another ultimate whitetail hunting tip.
Jim, when you talk about deer products, we have some great things to talk about. First of all, the Scent Master might be the product of the 90s. And what I mean by that is old Tony Knight up there at Knight Muzzleloaders came up with an idea of where you could put your clothes inside this machine right here, put your scent in the charcoal filter, wherever it is you want, or on the pads, on the wicks, turn this thing on, it gets hot enough, it rotates that air through your clothes, and you can smell like pine. If that's what you put on the wick, you can smell like cedar, you can smell like acorns, you can smell like earth, you can even smell like doe urine if that's what you want to stick in your clothes. And if you do that, it not only is a great cover-up, because what you're trying to do is overpower your own body. If you can have smell in your clothes that can overpower your own body smell, then obviously the dominating smell is what they're going to smell. I believe I know you can call coyotes downwind. I mean, they'll come right to you. And talking about deer, that's the greatest application, because how many times have we all hung our stuff outside in bags
with pine needles or whatever,
anything we can to try to smell like something that's natural. And one of the greatest things that's going with that is, now that Knight and Hale's got its own scent line, we got the Code Red and the Code Blue scent line. You can take, just like Code Red right here, is nothing more than a blend of urines, and you can put that in your clothes, or you can just use that out here any kind of way you want to use it. And then we've got Code Blue, which is a deer that we got numbered in a bottle that's numbered, it matches up. And for the first time in my life, I know exactly where the urine comes from. Before, I didn't know that. And that's a great thing about Code Blue.
Well, it separates you completely from everybody else. Everybody else is using a blend, no matter what brand it is. It's a blend. And that is the only patented collection concept in the country.
Absolutely. And I wasn't going to get into all that detail, but this one detail I do want to get into. This is the newest and the greatest little innovation that ever was. It's called a buck popper. What it is, it's like a bee sting popper. You've got your urine already in it. You just crush it. See how it crushed?
Now it's expanding.
You just turn it right upside down, that cotton ball takes it, and you can put them all the way around your stand, 5 or 6, it's disposable, you just leave it right there on the ground, whatever, and for ever how long it takes to evaporate that, which may be for 3 or 4 days, you've got your urine scattered all the way around. You can even use it for marking your distance and stick it out there where you can see it, knowing exactly where you got your urine, and how far the buck, or how far you can shoot your bow. So that's a great concept right there. So those are some great items. We not only got the scent line that goes in the Scent Master, we've also got the buck poppers, which is a tremendous deal. Now,
they seem great.
Tell me about the new rattle bag that we got.
New rattle bag. $2 in a bag. Instead of being the same way everybody else was, we made it much smaller. It's much lighter. It doesn't make noise when you're moving around, but when you want to use it, you can either spar, just do a little sparring, or you can get down and do a regular fight with 2 older bucks. And the variable tone slots are what make this bag patentable, where it wasn't before. This is a patented bag, patent pending bag.
And what's patented about it, you got 2 different tone slots in there.
That's like exactly right, and sound like 2 different bucks, so it's going to be great.
That's a slick,
feel
that's
that
gonna
thing.
Be a slick deal.
It's so handy compared to all the big things that are out there.
Well, what about the deer call? We got a new one.
Well, we got a couple of new ones. We got a doe bleat now, just very easy to use. Anybody can, just expel a little air in it. That'll give you the doe bleat. And then we have the new, what we call the twister. It'll, without taking the call apart, you can get a bleat call, or you can turn that thing right back in and get you a nice little grunt. And if you want a rutting buck, well, it's in there too.
Man, I don't know
So-
if we should have come out with a call like that. That's too many calls in one.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. You don't have to take this one apart to remember where it is. All you need to do is just look a little bit and turn it. No taking it apart, no moving parts, and nothing's going to break, no springs or buttons to push. It's neat. It's like Chubby Checker. It's a twister.
That's pretty slick. A twister call, a new bleat call, brand new scent line from Night
Big
Hill.
scent line.
Big scent line. Got the buck poppers, which I think is the neatest thing since sliced bread. And let's don't forget the Scent Master. Now I can take my clothes and do it the right way. Great new products from Night and Hail.